much to say, so little time, so Lyanla's back.
We are the only ones responsible for what goes on in our lives.
We're quick to say, you're so stupid. I don't know why you did that. Oh, you better stop it. But we won't say, ooh, girl, you got it going on.
Tonight, Lyanla talks about self-esteem, relationships, and the power within you. Problems? Are you angry, tired, or confused? Well, Change Your Life expert Lyanla Vanzant is back.
Last week, we talked to personal power expert, best-selling author, lawyer, mother, wife, spiritualist, Lyanla Vanzant. By popular demand, we have her back here in studio. Let's hear what she had to say last week.
What was my lesson when I was abused and raped? That I am more than just a body. That there is a spark of God's divinity in me that cannot be changed or altered or eliminated based on what happens to this physical body. What was the lesson when I lost somebody that I really loved? It was that you hold on to the good. You find the good and you praise that. And that memory will continue to live inside of you whether or not the person is there. What was the lesson in the psychiatric ward? Be still and know. We get so busy. We get so busy. Be still. Be still. Because when I was in the psychiatric ward, my children were fed, my house was fine, everything was taken care of, you know? Sometimes God has to jam your guns so that the help that you need can come in.
This week, we're obviously trying to capitalize on Youth Day and Father's Day, and we're trying to heal the soul. So this week, Lyanla talks to us about self-esteem, a major problem after apartheid raped many of our people of the ability to believe in themselves. She will talk about personal power. We are all here on earth to make a little difference, our little mark. My grandfather used to say, we are like these fingers. We're not all equal, but we're all here for a reason, to make a little mark. And finally, about relationships. I've heard many young women and men who come to me and say, Felicia, this is where I'm at in my relationship. I want to commit suicide. Do you commit suicide for another person? We're going to hear from Lyanla. Lyanla says, we are the only ones responsible for what goes on in our lives. Let's talk to this woman, Lyanla Vanzant. How are you doing?
Good.
Have a seat. South Africa loves you, girl. How many of you have an Lyanla book? An Lyanla book.
Yeah.
Lyanla. Acts of faith. Acts of faith. Let me get to this thing quickly here. Guys, look at all this stuff I write in this book. I talk to my book. Look at it.
Does it talk back?
It talks back.
Felicia, they have medication for that.
On December 29th, I bought this book. This is what I wrote here. After seeing Lyanla on Oprah's show, I bought this book and I said to myself, this book is going to help me really get rid of caustic friends, caustic relationships. If you see my phone book, I've literally erased out people I don't want to call anymore because they cause pain each time you talk to them, and they pretend to be nice.
Well, I really want to acknowledge you for crossing them out, because sometimes we tell ourselves that we don't want to talk to them, and then we don't cross them out.
No, I don't
so the temptation is always there to go back.
I don't want to remember the number because I want to have quality friendships, not quantity friendships.
Yes.
Now, Lyanla, let's talk about you, your life, and how you're going to help these women and men move on.
I'm not going to help them. They're going to help themselves.
All right.
I'm just going to remind us that we can do that.
I want want these ladies to talk to us, these gentlemen here, to talk to us about their mission.
Yeah.
But more importantly, your mission first.
My mission
What is your mission?
My mission is to serve God. Using my talents, my gifts, my skills, my abilities, my mission is to serve God. So since that was my mission, I had to ask God, how do I serve you? See, many of us say, I'm going to serve God, so I'm going to go help somebody. But maybe that's not what God wanted you to do. Maybe what God wanted you to do was fold laundry or go to nursing school or be a beautician. See, we don't ask, we make it up. I asked. I said, how can I serve you? And God said I had to do 4 things. I had to teach his law. I had to tell my story. I had to make people laugh, and I had to be myself. That was all he asked me to do.
We want you to do exactly that right now. I'm going to give you the platform now, Lyanla.
Oh, me?
As you said, when you stand up, what do you say? You do what?
When you stand in your authority.
And that's what you're going to do right now. You're going to stand in your authority and touch these ladies right now. Maybe after the break.
Okay. And most people don't have a self. They have a description of self.
Do you have constant family arguments or fights? Do you need some help in resolving a family estate, sibling rivalry, or other major family problem? Call us because we want to help. 011-476-8411 or 2. Join us on the show where extraordinary people say extraordinary things. The anguish of a disfigured child.
Fulufelani's face started swelling from the age of 4.
People in general do not accept defects.
Who dropped her?
One of the sisters. By the time when they went and pathed her.
Do you feel guilty sometimes?
Yeah.
The suffering of disfigured children.
Can we help this little one? Are you in the doldrums? Or, as Lyanla says, in the basement, and you're trying to get to the attic? Lyanla says, we have levels of self-awareness that can be compared to the floors of a house with many levels. Lyanla talked to us, self-esteem. I personally believe that's one of our biggest problems. We don't feel good about ourselves. We're not confident about who we are. When someone exudes this confidence, then we call it arrogance. We have an African saying that says, you are what you are because of other people.
Yes.
So somehow you never raise yourself in many ways above others. But when do we encourage people to eradicate that PhD syndrome, that pull him down syndrome? We misinterpret Ubuntu, which is warmth that people are supposed to have towards each other, to subservience. How do we help people really bring out that light in them and say, wow? Talk to us.
Well, what do you want me to say?
Stand up and do your thing. I'm going to move this thing, yeah. Do your thing. Stand up, girl.
I think, you just want me to stand up. What is it with you and the standing up?
Because you said something comes up.
Well, I think that, when people are talking, it's always good, particularly if you're asking a question or you're presenting your point of view, it's good that you stand up so that you can stand authentically. But I want to go back to what you said earlier about self-esteem and self-worth. And what I've discovered about myself is very often I begin to identify with what happened to me and not the fact that I got through it. I get stuck in the happening of it and miss the glory of the lessons and the goodness that came from going through the situation in the first place. So I think that that's one place. Who knows about that? Yeah, raise your hand. Come on now. Don't be shy. Oh, everybody. Okay. So the other part about having self-esteem and self-worth is being real clear about what your self is. And most people don't have a self. They have a description of self that was given to them by somebody else that has absolutely nothing to do with you. So you have the mic. Let me ask you. Tell me, what is your self?
Self would be mother, grandmother, friend, wife. Those are things I can think of that would be self.
Okay. Give that mic give it to one of the men. Let me hear what their self is.
Well, I'm a father, a teacher, a friend, a brother, and a servant.
For me, if you said to me, what is myself? I would say myself is the essence of God in me. Myself is my I amness. what I heard described were roles. And that's what we do. You say to somebody, who are you? They say, I'm a banker. You know, well, who are you? We start describing roles. And the roles very often are defined and given to us by the expectations of other people. So what I like to share with you and encourage you is to start defining self from the inside out. From the inside out. What is yourself who are you when you're naked in the bathroom by yourself with no makeup on and your hair isn't combed? See, that's where the problem comes from, Felicia. It doesn't come from the government. It doesn't come from your dysfunctional family history. It comes from when the lights are off and there's nobody there but you, and you start having a conversation. So let me hear some conversations people have about themselves with themselves. Here's a classic one. I want every woman who's ever had this conversation to raise her hand. I'm too fat.
All right.
Yeah, okay. Now, I don't know this to be true because I don't remember being a man this week. But I think a man would stand in the front of the mirror and his conversation would be, I gotta work out. Yes? Is that true? I need to go back to the gym, you know? So we get all caught up in the external. So the self is who you have discovered and created through your intimate, personal conversations with yourself. So let me hear some conversations people have with themselves.
There's one thing about myself which keeps me going. I wake up in the morning, I look at myself in the mirror and saying, you know what? I'm special.
Yep.
I look at myself in the mirror, I cream my body. That's the most part I love about myself. I dress up my underwear, which is my weakness. I look at it and I say, you know, girl, you've got it. I put on my clothes, and the last complete me, Maggie, nobody else but about myself. I come first.
Yeah.
I owe it to myself. Nobody else will ever give me happiness except myself. And that's what keeps me going.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's a great conversation. To affirm yourself, to appreciate yourself, to support yourself. And I think you raised a very important point earlier when you said that to do that, many of us feel arrogant. Mm-hmm. You know, we feel arrogant. But we're quick to say, you're so stupid. I don't know why you did that. Oh, you better stop it. But we won't say, ooh, girl, you got it going on.
But you know what, Lyanla? As Maggie is saying this on television, trust me, you have some people who say, who does she think she is?
And we're afraid of that question. Okay, so who do you think you are?
Maggie, and I'm special.
Yeah.
I don't care about the rest.
Okay.
I come first.
Okay.
It's me. I love myself.
Now, how many people would be scared out of their brain to say that? Tell me why you would be uncomfortable to say that about yourself.
Well, I always thought if I look at myself, saying God must have had such fun making me, maybe he felt in a good mood. But I don't think I'm the best thing to look at.
Really?
Come.
Wow.
No, now I know I am, but I used to think.
Yeah, okay. So until today. Until today.
There we are. I never forget, T.D. Jakes was asked in an interview on one of the major networks, do you think you are the next Billy Graham? And he said, God is not in the mode of making duplicates.
Yeah.
I am an original.
That's right.
But were you also compared with Oprah by any chance?
Oh, no. Absolutely not.
They never compared you with Oprah?
Well, I don't know if it was compared me to her as much as it was an attempt to pit me against her. But you know, it's not what you call me, it's what I answer to.
That's right.
It's what I answer to, and I'm real clear that Oprah is Oprah and Lyanla is Lyanla, and we've come together to do great and magnificent things in the world, and that's good enough for me. It doesn't have to go any further than that.
They don't normally do that to me. There's some Oprah wannabe, and I always say, I am a wannabe who got to be. After the break. After the break, we discover the spiritual self.
Because I was too afraid to let my children know that they scared me to death.
These These are the next 2 programs on Felicia on E. The pain disfigured children have to go through. Is there help? And rags to riches, riches to rags. How people have coped with their changing fortunes.
We're talking to Lyanla Vanzant. Vanzant.
Keep it simple.
All right. The acts of faith in many ways has changed my life a lot. Many are crying for help. Through your book, you have saved lives. You have comforted many people through this, through distress, whatever. But for me, what were you trying to do? What was the target?
I was trying to save my life. You know, when I say to people, I never wrote a book for anybody other than me, they don't understand. But every book that was given to me at a time when I was growing or healing or moving through something. And I wrote those things for myself. It's just that I was brilliant enough to sell it to other people. But it's, you know, I think that you cannot offer people anything authentically that you haven't experienced yourself. If I say to any woman in here, if I say to you, I think one of the most difficult experiences of my life was raising my children. Because in doing that, every inadequacy, every weakness, every frailty, every ache, every pain I ever had, I had to look at it at the breakfast table each morning and act like I was okay. Because I was too afraid to let my children know that they scared me to death. I was so afraid that I was going to make a mistake and ruin their life. And I just felt inadequate, and I wanted to send them back to where they'd come from. And there were times when I hated my children. I hated them. Not hate like you would hate an enemy, but I hated the fact that they were there and I had to work so hard to try to get it together for them. Would you understand what I was talking about? And there were moments and days when I was sorry I had them. And it was when I looked at their fathers, I was sorry that they helped me have them. Would you know what I'm talking about? That's not deep and profound, Felicia. That's the truth. All we ever have to do is tell the truth without all of the fringes. Tell a naked truth. Let me tell you a little story. Can I tell you a little story?
Please.
Okay. So the truth and the lie went swimming. They were good friends, and they went swimming. So they went to the riverbank, and they took off all their clothes, and they went skinny dipping, and they were playing around in the water and playing around, and the truth went out far. The truth went real far. And while the truth was gone, the lie took its clothes. So when the truth got out of the water, there were no clothes there for him. And he called out, lie, lie. Lie didn't answer him. So the truth had to walk through town buck naked to get to the lie's house. And he knocked on the door, and he said to the lie, what happened? He said, hey, how you doing? He said, you took my clothes. So the lie said, no, I didn't. I didn't take your clothes. The truth said you did. We were in the water swimming together, and you took my clothes. And the lie said, no, I didn't take your clothes. Those weren't your clothes. Those were my clothes. And the truth said, oh. Do you know people will believe a lie before they believe the naked truth?
That's true. That is true.
You know, we have to think about the truth. We have to think about the truth. The lie comes forth easily. And the work that's required to really live and stand in your truth and tell it without apology and tell it without defending it and tell it comes from a very deep place inside. And it's when you know yourself and when you're willing to look stupid and in the public, when you're willing to stand naked in the public, then you can tell the truth.
All right, now let's tell the truth about anger, fear, frustration. What's in your mind?
What's in your mind?
What's in your mind
Please,
right now?
none of them
Talk
things.
Talk about it.
Lyanla,
Yes.
the mind says one thing and the soul or the essence says something else. Do you still have a battle between the two?
No.
No. How do you get beyond that, where you learn to trust this so implicitly that the mind doesn't even interfere anymore.
Yeah. Well, the mind will interfere because that's its job. Its job is to interfere. It's not the soul, it's the heart. It's listening to the heart. And what we want to do is alignment between the head and the heart. Prayer and meditation. Daily spiritual practice, so that the heart voice becomes so strong, because the head has been in charge for a long time, and it's not going to give up authority very easily.
In fact, there was a lady in the other show, last week's show, who said, could you please ask Lyanla, I did not have time to ask her this, how do I learn to say no?
Like this, no.
No, but wait, Lyanla.
How do you say it in Zulu?
We were taught, though, as little girls, to always please and to be nice. A nice girl never says no. That's why.
But a sane one does. A sane one does. So you got a lot of nice, crazy girls and nice, crazy women who think it's their job to please her. And it's really not that we don't know how to say no. We know how to say no.
We just don't hurt anyone.
Well, yeah, we know how to say no, but we're not willing to run the risk of what will happen when we say it. That's really the truth, because we know how to say no. Let your kids ask you for some money the day before payday. You know how to say no, you know? Or let somebody, you know, you don't like ask you for something. Oh, you will say no. But when it comes to people we love and care about, we're not willing to run the risk of what we tell ourselves will happen if we say no.
What do you say to people who say, you know, I hear Lyanla talking a lot about God, but I'm not a Christian in essence. So is there somebody else I can talk to?
Other than God? Well, yeah, you can talk to trees, rocks, fruit, berries, I mean, whatever floats your boat. I'm not, you know, I'm not here to teach religion. You know, whatever essence, whatever being, whatever you say, that source of life and intelligence, it's not about being a Christian. You know, Christianity is religion. Religion is man-given and spirit is God-made. So it's not about us having a particular tenet, or if you choose that. But whatever whatever that calling is for you, that essence, where do you go when you're in trouble? Where do you go when you need support? Wherever that is for you. For me, it's God.
When I read your books, you also talk a lot about prayer and how you pray all the time.
Yeah, I pray on everything because I've already messed up my life once. You know, I did that. I could blame my ex-husband. I could blame my parents. It was me and my choices. So I understand that when I'm alone in my head without adult supervision, I get in trouble. So what I do is I try to bring in support and supervision and guidance at all times. And I know for me, prayer is my communion with God. So I always want to check in. I want to check in. And sometimes I don't listen. Sometimes I'm disobedient. Sometimes I don't take the time to stop. And whenever I do that and I don't get the guidance and the support, I make a mess.
Well, after the break, we're going to talk about how to develop successful relationships.
There's another way. I don't need no man, because I'm bad. I got it going on. It's me.
Do you feel that you've been abused by your children or perhaps the system? As an elderly person, do you not deserve more? This is your opportunity to speak out. Please contact us at Felicia on 011 476 8411 or 2, the show where extraordinary people say extraordinary things. If you have a topic suggestion for Felicia on E, please mail it to FMS Productions, PO Box 29896, Melville 2109, or by email to felicia@etv.co.za. We invite you to join us in studio Saturday the 15th of June for 3 recordings, youth discussing issues that affect them, horror stories, is it a miracle that you're still alive, and elderly abuse. Why do children abuse their parents? This is your chance to speak out. Book your free seat now on 011 476 8411 or 2. Call now.
Well, we are talking to best-selling author Lyanla Vanzant. Why do relationships fail? I mean, I'm going to go into relationships. South Africa, by the way, has one of the highest divorce rates. In fact, I think if I remember my research well, we're second after the US.
But I understand that because South Africa is obviously in a state of transition. And there's no way the nation can be in a state of transition unless the people in it were in a state of transition. So many people were married when they were at one level of consciousness, one level of awareness, and now in this process of transition, they're in another place. And it's very often that the relationship you create at one level doesn't serve your needs at another level. And we need to realize that we really can change our mind. Relationships, the way we structure and create them today, are almost doomed for failure. Because it is impossible in today's day and age for a person to support your mental, emotional, physical, financial, and sexual needs. And that's what we demand of a person. And if you are not willing to do some work on yourself, if you are not willing to stand eyeball to eyeball with this partner, you know, we get into these roles, my wife, my husband, you know, and we don't realize the give and take and the reciprocity that has to go on. And we start like, I did this for you and you didn't do that for me, and if you love me, you do this, and if you love me, you do that. And it's a lot going on with the shifts in the world and the shifts in the universe. So I say that in order to make a relationship whole, that we first need to understand how we come to the relationship whole. If you are broken, desperate, lonely, broke, and feeling bad, stay by yourself. Don't try to get nobody to make you feel good, because that relationship is going to be doomed for failure. Because the person you attract in that moment is going to be a repairman, not a husband. Or a fix-it-upper, you know? But eventually they'll get tired of it.
But can you have both men and women being the breadwinners? You know what I'm talking about? Because many women are saying, opportunities have opened up for me now. I'm also wearing the pants and...
Well, those are two very different things. I think anything that goes on with the individual which impacts the relationship has to be discussed by the partners in the relationship. Winning bread and wearing pants are two different things. See, breadwinning means that you're bringing resources into the relationship that can be used for the collective good of the relationship. And I'm assuming that there was a conversation prior to all this bread winning and bread baking, so that we understand when the resources come into the relationship, this is what we're going to do with them. Wearing the pants is an energy that women have, and it's an arrogant, rebellious, resistant, condescending energy that women have when they believe they wear the pants. And what it does is it pushes the man out of the relationship. It's two men in the same bed. And that would be fine if they were really two men. But it's a woman acting like a man, you know? And that is more of a mental and an emotional energy that the woman sends out that says to the man, you're not right, you're not good enough, and I'm what's going on here. That's a very different thing. A woman can make a lot of money, bring it to the family, and not degrade the man in the process. When she's wearing the pants, she degrades him. She constantly reminds him, well, what are you doing? And how much money have you made? And look what I did, and blah, blah, blah. I don't know if it works like that here in South Africa. That's how it works in the United States, you know? And what I'm saying is that a woman can be the majority breadwinner and still make that man feel like $1 million.
All right, are you agreeing or are you disagreeing? Come on now, don't be scared. Don't be scared, because when Lyanla leaves here, I know everybody's saying, well, I know that I can do it. I can be on my own. I don't care. I don't need a man to look after me.
But see, that's where it comes from. That's where it comes from. It comes from, you know, there's a very different thing in saying, you know, I can take care of myself. You know, that I am blessed, I am divine, I am creative, I'm supported by God and the universe. And I can take care of myself and my children during this time that I don't have a partner. That's one way to say it. There's another way. I don't need no man, because I'm bad. I got it going on. It's me. It's a completely different energy, you know? And very often, because when we were with Boo-Boo and Boo-Boo didn't act right, we had to put Boo-Boo out. Now we're by ourselves and we're scared we're gonna get another Boo-Boo. So everybody, when Fred come, John come, we're suspicious. Oh no, you won't hurt me. You know, we keep looking for Boo-Boos around the corner. And it's a very different energy when we can still hold. I think most of us didn't even learn what it meant to be a woman. Because we were raised in a way that we were silenced as women and taught to compete in the masculine arena. You know, we look at each other with competitive eyes. We don't know how to be powerful and feminine at the same time. The greatest example, if I were to say, let me ask you, let me don't talk to myself here. If I were to say to you, tell me the greatest example of feminine power you know, what would you say?
All right, let's hear it.
Let me hear. What would you say? My mother. Your mother. Why is that?
She's managed to hold down a job serving the community as a nurse. She has a wonderful husband, and she has brought up 4 children, and they've been married for close on 40 years.
So what is it about her that gives you an example of feminine power?
It's just that she loves and cares and nurtures, and she's still herself, and she's just powerful.
She still has a life and an identity. Okay. Who else? Tell me, who would you say is an example of feminine power?
I would say it's me. Reason being, I'm a career woman. I do things for myself. I don't rely on a man to do things for me. Because I know there are a lot of women out there who actually rely on men to get up in the morning, to buy yourself clothes, to do anything. I don't rely on a man. I get my own salary, I do my own things, I drive my own car, I don't really rely on anybody.
See, now that's a kind of girl scaring
wait a minute.
away.
Right. That's right. That's right. And it's right there. It's right.
Yes.
But you know what? I acknowledge you, and I'm saying that as you go through life, I'm sure that the little edge that's on that, because you got an edge on it. You know, it's a little crispy around the edges.
You know what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm a woman, because I do have somebody in my life, and I have respect for that person. What I'm trying to actually...
Well, why did you have to tear other women down to pick yourself up? Why did you even have to mention that other women rely on men? Why was that necessary?
Actually, I'm not trying to tear them down, but
no.
warning.
Answer the question. Answer the question. Answer the question. Why? What was your conversation in your head that let you think that was necessary in order for you to say who you were, that you had to point out who you were not, and in the process, tear down other women? What was the conversation?
Well, I would just say it wasn't an intention to tear other people down. What I was trying to highlight is, because I almost fell on the same trap.
After the recording, we received a letter from her upset by Lyanla's misunderstanding. She does have a point. She wanted to stress that we should find the hero within ourselves instead of relying on other people. She stresses she admires other women and would not pull them down.
But you know, I know where she's coming from, but we can relate to where she's coming from, because anyway, even in our upbringing, I remember, in fact, my father one day saying, as an African girl, you never should be alone. You're brought up by your father. After your father, you're going to go to boarding school. There's going to be a principal, usually who is a man, who's going to look after you. After that, you're going to get to college, and there better be a man looking after you in college in terms of the rector, and then after that, you're going to get married. You're never quite encouraged to be alone.
But that wasn't the question.
I'm trying to help her sister.
That wasn't the question. Here were the 2 questions that I asked. Who would you say is an example of feminine power? That was the question.
Yes. After the break, we're going to take care of this.
I would love in my heart to make a living out of being myself. And I don't know...
You can do both. Nobody tells me how to behave in my life.
Your opinion matters. Do you think we can increase South African productivity to make a difference on the world competitiveness scale? Yes or no? Let us know what you think on 082 280 8585. The anguish of a disfigured child.
Fulufelani's face started swelling from the age of 4.
People in general do not accept defects.
Who dropped her?
One of the sisters. By the time when they went and bathed her.
Do you feel guilty sometimes?
Yeah.
The suffering of disfigured children.
Can we help this little one?
What happens is, the question was, what is your example of feminine power? And you gave me yourself as an example, but all of your references were external. They were all external. I have my own job, I have my own car, I have my own money, that's all out there. Feminine is an internal process. It's all internal. That's why the baby grows inside the body instead of outside, like a pimple or a wart or something. So what happens is, at some point in your process of bringing that forward, there's a disconnect. And then you have to look for external reasons to substantiate what you're saying. And because you're a woman, you're going to look first to a woman to disprove or prove what it is you're saying about yourself. That's not what makes you feminine power, the fact that you have a job. Feminine power is an inner knowing and a connection to the heart within. The most powerful example of feminine power that ever walked this planet was Mother Teresa.
Wow.
No makeup, no job, no car, no clothes, no fancy shoes. And any place she went in the world, people wanted to serve her. There was probably nothing she could have asked for that she couldn't have gotten. Because the feminine power is receptive. It receives, it does not give. So we look at Oprah. That's masculine power. You look at me. This is masculine power. When I show up as a product of my work, I'm in masculine power. But I draw from the feminine power to bring the message forward. Because if I were really sitting here, ooh, you would think I was some kind of nut. Because feminine power is mysterious. It's dark and it's hidden. That's why the baby grows inside instead of outside.
Wow.
I'm done.
Let's get your questions.
One of the most powerful sayings in acts of faith is that as long as you believe anything or anybody is blocking you from getting what you want, you're not ready to receive it. So how do I channel my thoughts so that I reach my greatness without having to depend on anyone to give me happiness or fulfillment? Yeah.
Your question was, how do I channel my thoughts so that I don't have to depend on anyone for happiness or fulfillment? The answer to that is channel your thoughts so that you will not be dependent on anyone for happiness or fulfillment.
Yes.
I've not read your book for teenagers
yes,
or young
don't give it away.
But so important because they are the future and we need to really remember that without these young people being focused, and that's why I was happy to see a young person asking a question. Ask a question.
Oh, okay. I actually want to ask you, Lyanla, it's something that I've seen with my mother and black women, and it's worrying because apparently a lot of women are dying of depression. And I think for my personal, what shall I say, can you give us footsteps towards overcoming it? Because it's good and well to pray and all that, and we do that. But what are the steps?
I want to be very careful about depression because there's all forms of depression and kinds of depression. There's clinical depression. There's depression brought on by chemical imbalances. Metaphysically, depression is anger that we turn on ourselves. And I can understand how in a society like this, where women aren't allowed to appropriately express their anger, appropriately speak their voice, that all of that becomes suppressed and they turn it within. And rather than risk expressing it in the world, they hold it in. And then that becomes a weight and it weighs them down. And that's really the metaphysical definition of depression. So I again, everywhere, whether it's South Africa, South America, South Bronx, I encourage women to, if you have not developed the courage yet to really speak and honor your feelings, journal writing. Journal writing is the key. You've got to get it out. Take yourself into account. Reflect on yourself. Write in your journal so that you get an opportunity to express and also to bring your ideas forward.
I'm sure you can identify with this in terms of healing after a failed relationship or marriage. And the one cornerstone of any relationship is trust. How do you build up trust for the opposite sex after a failed relationship?
First of all, don't call it a failed relationship. That's the first place to start.
Unsuccessful.
Well, a relationship that ends.
Close the door.
No, because I want to know, an unsuccessful relationship, is that a comma or a period or a semicolon? What comes after that? If you say a relationship that ended, period.
And close the door and move
on. Again, relationships change when we change. And nothing brings us pain. It's how we perceive experiences that are painful. That's what's painful, not the experience itself. So when we begin to change our behavior, because you may think it's painful that you've gone through a challenging relationship that has ended, period, and now you meet Boo-Boo, and Boo-Boo just makes your heart sing, and you want to spend the rest of your life with Boo-Boo. But Boo-Boo has a tendency not to do what Boo-Boo promises to do. So you just sit there, and Boo-Boo said he's coming at 7, he comes at 9. Boo-Boo said he's taking you away for the weekend. When it's time to leave, he calls you and he changes plans. You really love Boo-Boo, and Boo-Boo, really, you thought Boo-Boo was the one. Now, you can go along with Boo-Boo, or you can say, you know, Boo-Boo's hurting me, Boo-Boo's disrespecting me, Boo-Boo is, what's the matter with you, Boo-Boo? And you can do the shaken baby syndrome with Boo-Boo. Or you can say to Boo-Boo, you know what, I really, really, really appreciate you. And I'm looking forward to us having a wonderful relationship. However, in order for that to happen, I need you to honor your word. If you say you're going to be here at 7, be here at 7. And if you're not here at 7, then let's renegotiate it. If you say we're going away, then you need to make that a priority in your life. Because if you can't honor your word and let me know that you are worth my time, energy, and attention, Boo-Boo, I can't have a relationship with you. Now, you may think it's painful to lose Boo-Boo because he gets upset with you when you say that. The pain would be in not expressing what you want and what you need, and 15 years later, and 3 Boo-Booettes down the road, now you want to tell Boo-Boo what to do. Tell him up front. Tell him up front what you need.
Women's support and women power. The question I have is, a lot of South African women have been given opportunities recently. But when you get to a certain position within life, and if it's in the business sphere, people tend to kick the ladder, and women stop supporting each other. How do we break that chain?
And no offense, I'm going to use race here, especially black women. Okay, let me get to the last question. Trust me, you're the last.
My dilemma at the moment is I'm running around in the corporate world assuming to be successful. But I would love in my heart to make a living out of being myself. And I don't know.
You can do both. Nobody tells me how to behave in my life. No one. No amount of money. No amount of money a corporation can pay me could make me be anything other than who I am. Maybe that's why I chose to come out of the legal field. Because in the legal field, I had to lie, and I had to cut deals, and I had to do very dishonorable things, and I gave it up. And I got evicted, and I lost my car, and I was hungry, I had to live in people's basements, and I had a law degree. But you know what? I had my honor. See, we will do things that don't honor who we are to get the material things that we want, the creature comforts. If we were up in the corporation saying, you know what? I'm looking around this boardroom, looks like we need some more women in here. I'm going to mentor 3 women, and I'm going to bring them in. If we start speaking authentically, we have not because we ask not. And it's not about black women. It's not about black women. We believe the hype. Because, Felicia, when you're sick and crying, when you're upset with your husband, when you're worried about your kids, do you go to a man for comfort?
I go to my mom.
That's a woman.
Now she's dead, poor thing.
You go to a woman.
Soul rest in peace.
Yes, but you go to a woman, right? You go to a woman. When you're in trouble, when your heart's broken, When you have a question, you pick up, do you call Jack Plumber? You call a woman. So how in one breath can you know that women are your support and your nurturance, and in the other breath say, we cut them down, we tear each other down? You just did the very thing you say that we do. If we become conscious of that and stop that, the double-mindedness, tearing each other down individually in small ways, men would stop doing it to us.
That's a good note to end the show. That's a good note to end the show. I have to give Lyanla this. Oh, can I get some more? Winnie, come here. Winnie, come here. Winnie's the lady who brought Lyanla to South Africa. Can I get a pair of glasses for Winnie? Winnie, thank you. You really, really, really appreciate your bringing Lyanla here. Girl, you better come and join us. You've been bodyguarding Lyanla, Yamisina. Huh? You can't even come close to Lyanla. Huh? Let's see what we have here. You can have these ones,
She
girl.
loves eyeglasses, too.
You can have these
beautiful.
ones. There we are. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
invite you to join us in studio on Saturday the 15th of June for free recordings. Youth discussing issues that affect them with role models. Horror stories. Is it a miracle that you're still alive? As well as elderly abuse. Call now to book your seat on 011 476 8411 or 2. You can suggest topics for Felicia on E or find out more about what's coming up in upcoming programs. Our home in cyberspace is at www.feliciaonline.co.za. It's open 24 hours a day.